Views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Welcome to Lyme Talk Radio with Dr. Pat Baccili. Epic healing for an epic life. This inspiring show highlights leading-edge solutions, groundbreaking research, headline topics, and tools for holistic healing and wellness. This hit show is dedicated to raising awareness, promoting advocacy and prevention, and supporting initiatives for optimal health. Dr. Pat is passionate and focused on life-saving results reaching far beyond Lyme disease, providing a forum for powerful stories, heart-opening experiences, and hope-activated solutions. Dr. Pat will shine a light on the many shades of Lyme disease fueled by a body, mind, spirit remedy. Now here's your host, Dr. Pat.
Hey everybody, it is so cool. Thank you so much, Justin, for bringing us in here. Thank you for all of that. And thank all of you for turning us on. You know, we have been in this incredible place, just so you know, that not only have we been revamping Lyme Talk Radio, but we are getting ready to launch an initiative to raise funds. And our fundraising is not what you think. We're not the fundraising group that wants to raise funds for more research. That's not us. We're not the fundraising group that wants to do something to, do a bike tour across the country. Here's what our fundraising is about. It's to raise the level of awareness and information, but bring it to the digital age. As a matter of fact, for those of you out there, get ready for our video game to educate people every age of life in our crowdfunding effort. Are you ready? Wait for it. Exploding Ticks. Yes. And that has got to be something you're probably thinking, my guests are thinking, oh my God, can we get out of doing this interview right here with her? But guess what we've discovered along the way? And certainly you're going to hear this from Dr. Enid Haller as well as Elizabeth Mellon. What you're going to hear is that when all is said and done, yes, this is a deadly disease. Yes, there are a whole bunch of other illnesses that are associated with it. Yes, we have it at epidemic levels. And yes, we cannot get the attention. So if we're not going to get the attention of people, except for today, Dr. Enid has done that, then we're going to raise the level of awareness and we're going to bring it into contemporary times. We're going to bring it in ways where we can educate our children in school, where we can make sure that people understand when you go out and you do that gardening, hey, do yourself a favor, throw those clothes in a hot dryer. Whatever it is we can do to raise the bar on this, we're going to do it. Updates on chronic Lyme disease legislation today and research. Yes, that means legal news, which is hard to come by. But today we're going to be talking with Dr. Haller about that as well as, bringing Elizabeth in. Why? Because they have been battling the battles. Dr. Enid Haller is Executive Director of Lyme Center of Martha's Vineyard. But beyond all of that, she is somebody that has taken her credentials, has looked at who she is in the world, has seen many, many people show up, her own diagnosis, being told it's all in her head and having to figure this out. Of course, through the help of some very brilliant people that hang out on Martha's Vineyard, but certainly having to figure it out to save her life. And Elizabeth as well. Elizabeth Mellon is co-leader of the Lyme Support Group and administrator of Lyme Life, MV. Now, why MV? Why Martha's Vineyard, you're saying? Well, wait a minute, Martha's Vineyard, what? How did that happen? How did the fleas get over there? Well, it's kind of the same conversation if you want to talk to my friends at the state of Washington here who refuse to take down on their website that Lyme disease doesn't live here. I'm telling you, the ticks travel, and you know what? They have frequent flyer miles. Hey, ladies, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dr. Pat.
Hi, Dr. Pat.
That's right. We're a little fired up here today. Thank you for joining us for today. I have been so waiting for an update. And, I think that we cannot say enough, Dr. Enid, for the people that put their feet on the ground, put one foot in front of the other, get out there and talk to other people about this. And we're now starting to see the results. But before we jump into that, each of you has a story, and I would like to hear a bit about what each of you, your journey's been like, but most importantly, what has been the controversy, not only that's in the chronic Lyme disease environment, but what you've run into individually. Let's start out with you, Dr. Enid, and then we'll just hop right over.
Oh, thank you for having us again on the show.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it. Yeah, we've been working hard, and I guess I started this work 8 years ago. 8 years ago. So
yeah,
I started a Lyme support group, and that was started because here in Martha's Vineyard, the librarian in West Tisbury said, Enid, I heard you have Lyme, and about 10 people a day are coming into the library asking for help. They keep being turned away from their doctor, you know, at the hospital or the walking clinic. And that was shocking to me. And so then I just started to investigate this whole thing. We were lucky because my husband and my daughter both infected with Lyme because Martha's Vineyard is ground zero. And I'm not sure why it's ground zero, but it is. We've got the #1, Mart, #1 town in the entire state of Massachusetts. And for the most, Lyme disease reported. And then we've got 5 other towns on Martha's Vineyard, top 10 list in the entire state of Massachusetts.
Yeah.
So that's pretty shocking. But just to make a long story short, because everybody has a long Lyme story, I saw the amount of people that were suffering here. And that was really upsetting me because they couldn't get proper help they needed. And me, being a therapist, you know, I'm a psychotherapist from New York City. I moved here 10 years ago. We all got infected in my family. And here we've got this disease that nobody wants to talk about. You know, it's shocking. Yeah. So we went on a journey. We found the right Lyme litter doctors. And I started sharing this knowledge, you know, basically with everybody here. As many people as I could help, I would talk to about how do we find a Lyme litter doctor? How are we going to afford it? Who can we go to? And that's what I've been doing for the last 7 years. But the last year has been different. And the Dean Lyme Center opened a year ago. And we'll talk a little bit about that later. But just wanted to thank you for having us again. And Elizabeth's my right-hand person here. And she's helping me so much, and she'll introduce herself now.
Hi, Dr. Elizabeth, Pat. Thank you for joining me. Thank you, Dr. Enid. Yeah, Elizabeth, you know, the same question for you. You know, what has your journey been like with this? And, you know, what is it about, you know, this disease that if it were any other disease, first of all, it's not even, you know, we're going to talk about this today. It's not even recognized that it's a disease. But secondly, here we are talking about it. And there is controversy. What's your journey been like? And what did you run into along the way?
First of all, Dr. Pat, thank you so much for allowing me to join you and Enid today. It is very controversial, and I have experienced that firsthand myself. 5 years ago, I was bitten by a tick here on the island, and I was treated with a regular course of doxycycline, felt better, but I never fully recovered, I don't think all the way. And about a year later, I started having these massive headaches, severe neurological symptoms, cognitive impairment. And I would go to my primary doctor here, and they say, oh, you have a virus, you know, it'll work itself out. I believe my first test for Lyme here came back negative. So they're like, no, it's not Lyme. Really test me for co-infections, and I knew something was wrong. I know my body. I know what's a normal course of a virus, and so I sought on my own a doctor who was coming here for a while, who was Lyme literate. I had also called Enid on the phone because I had a feeling I could be Lyme after reading about it. And she recommended a few doctors, and I was tested by them and diagnosed with chronic Lyme disease, Borrelia, Bartonella, and tularemia. And treated for 8 months, got a little bit better. And then again, last year in November, I started having severe neurological symptoms again. I was having trouble speaking, thinking, processing. Well, I knew what it was this time. My primary here, again, had no solution for me. Knew it was chronic Lyme, didn't know what to do. Was quoted to say, well, in 20 years, it'll all be different. There's just not enough research right now to know what to do with you. Now, I couldn't work. I couldn't barely talk, think, and I was not going to accept that. I was not going to live my life like that. So I sought out the Dean Lyme Center and the Lyme Center of New England in Rhode Island. And because we don't have anybody here, I had to travel to those places off island and have been in treatment. And I have a PICC line now. It's confirmed that I have neuroborreliosis, which is, Lyme of the brain. And the new PICC line and IV treatment should be helping that. So I got really passionate about this because I don't think it's right that people who are so ill should have to seek out proper treatment. There's infrastructure for other ailments. God forbid that I had cancer or something, they would send me to an oncologist and put me in treatment right away. I had to wait 7 months to get the PICC line in. So that's just unacceptable for me. And I also wanted to help other people. So I started the online on Facebook, Lyme Life MB, to supplement what we already have going, which is the monthly support group that meets once a month here on the Vineyard, so that people can post questions daily or ask for help daily, and we can all stay connected as a community and support one another.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big conversation, and we're going to give people lots of updates on what is actually going on, bring everybody up to date. We're going to take a short break, everybody. We'll be right back with Lyme Talk Radio. And by the way, if you have any questions whatsoever, 1-800-930-2819, or go to Transformation Talk Radio, and on the right-hand side, click on the arrow. It'll take you to a page where you can literally type in your question. Today, updates on chronic Lyme disease legislation and research from Martha's Vineyard with Dr. Enid and Elizabeth Mellon. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Are you feeling stagnant or blocked in your love life, career, health, or finances? Experiencing difficulty focusing or setting and achieving goals? Tune in to Spiritual Diagnostics Radio with psychic visionary healers Carol Dorian and Suzanne Evans. Discover the cause and effect of unwanted patterns in life. Tune in every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio. For more information, visit spiritualdeed.com.
Francine Vale is a being of light. She believes that all people of planet Earth are as well. As co-host of the Angel Healer radio show, Francine teaches you heart-centered ways to manifest healing on your own behalf and how to integrate love more fully into your daily life. Connect with your angels as you find your life flowing with ease and harmony. Walk the path of light with Francine and Dr. Pat Baccili every month on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Transformation Talk Radio is dedicated to the education and awareness of Lyme disease.
Welcome to Lyme Talk Radio. I'm Dr. Pat Baccili, the host of the Dr. Pat Show, and I am so thrilled that we've created this venue for all of you out there.
Dr. Pat Baccili will be bringing the most innovative, groundbreaking information, research, treatment innovations, and stories from those it affects every day.
What we have heard is that you want to ensure for us that we keep positive, holistic, uplifting, transformative talk radio on the air. We're excited to bring you the contemporary conversations about Lyme disease.
We promise not to let the light fade on Lyme.
So fasten your seat belts. We've got lots more to share with you in the weeks to come.
Tune into Lyme Talk Radio with Dr. Pat and help keep our mission strong on transformationtalkradio.com.
Get ready to rid yourself of all that is weighing you down and holding you back from living the life you want for yourself. Coming Clean, The Art of Transparency with Catherine Moss is a hit show for women in recovery who are ready to live life on purpose. Tune in and let Catherine help you live your truth one day at a time. Live each Tuesday, 9 a.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
On the cutting edge of the new mainstream, Christine Upchurch is passionate about bringing together science, psychology, and spirituality in a way that can be applied to our everyday lives for true transformation. The Christine Upchurch Show, stellar conversations to illuminate your journey, engages some of the most outstanding visionaries on the planet in lively dialogue to inspire you to become that bright light you're meant to be. Join Christine every Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific Time on KKNW, AM 1150, and Transformation Talk Radio.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back to Lyme Talk Radio. For more about us, go to lymetalkradio.com. You could go to Lyme Global, or you could go to the Dr. Pat Show. Either way, or Transformation Talk Radio, you'll be able to get a hold of us. And, you know, we're thrilled to have Dr. Enid and Elizabeth Mellon joining us here today. Before we dig in here, what is the best way for people to get a hold of you or to find out more about what you're up to, Dr. Enid? What's the best way?
Yeah, you can go to my website. You just Google Lyme Center of Martha's Vineyard. All my information is there. Everything's up to date. My phone number, everything. So if anyone has any questions, they can just give me a call on that main number on the website.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth, how about you?
Well, I have the Facebook group page going now, which is Lyme Life MD. So anyone can ask to join that, and I'm glad you put you on there. And there's all sorts of updates on what's going on around here for Lyme disease.
Awesome. That's what I'm doing right now. Let's get to some of the real super important information, and that is to bring everybody up to speed. I know there have been a lot of things that have changed, and there's a lot more change to be done. And so I want to start out with the conversation about, long debate about Lyme disease. And, the whole idea, which I think is really kind of interesting, about when people are challenged, why haven't you been able to seek out help sooner? We don't even understand about the way that this disease affects the mind. And so we get caught in this cycle. People that have this may not have some of the other symptoms, but they're just not thinking clearly. They get confused. We now know some of this, but we're not even at the tip of the iceberg. Dr. Enid, I would love for you to talk with us about this controversy and, about some of the latest news.
Yes, I would love to. Thanks, Dr. Pat. I have to just bring you up to date, and I don't think I've even told you this, but 8 months ago I got a PICC line myself because I was losing my ability to read. So that's neurological Lyme. And, we know that Lyme symptoms are across the board. I mean, they're different for everyone, but when you have neurological Lyme, it's when you can't think anymore, or you can't read, or you get lost, or you can't even remember words, and you have word finding problems. That's neurological Lyme. And it wasn't until Dr. Nev from the Dean Lyme Center pulled me aside and said, let's do a PET scan of your brain and see what it looks like. And I had brain damage, from the PET scan. So Dr. Nev Zubcevik from the wonderful Lyme Center we have here in Boston finally, was able to show me physical evidence that I have brain damage from this disease. And it was then we got the PICC line right away, and I've completely turned around. I feel 100% better. I've had the PICC line for 8 months, and Elizabeth will talk about her experience too. She's had her PICC line put in about a month or so, 2 months ago. And what Dr. Nev has done is come to Martha's Vineyard Hospital. I said, please, will you come to Martha's Vineyard Hospital and speak, about this? And she did. And she was here about a month or so ago. And it's starting to turn the Titanic around. I have to tell you, the huge bad thing that's been happening with Lyme disease here in the Vineyard is starting to get better. For the first time, I've seen movement. Doctors are listening, and they're starting to open their minds. And because she's Harvard Medical School, and it's a Harvard Medical School teaching hospital where she works, people are starting to pay attention. And I just am so grateful that this past year, the movement that we've made, I've seen more movement this year in chronic Lyme disease than I have in all the 8 years that I've been working in Lyme.
Well, some people don't even know what the PICC line is. People, they're listening to the show. They're asking me, what's that? What is that? So I think we got to step back and just tell people, wait a minute, what is this?
I'm going to let Elizabeth talk about the PICC line. Go ahead, Liz.
So PICC, which is PICC, it stands for peripherally inserted centralized catheter. So basically, it's a semi-permanent line that is in your vein in your arm that allows you to receive intravenous antibiotics daily, so that you don't have to be stuck every day. You have this permanent thing in your arm that can be removed later for long-term treatment.
So basically, it's breaking the blood-brain barrier.
What does this mean for people?
Sorry, Dr. Pat, say that again.
People? What does this mean for people? Because we know the controversy around this. The controversy has to do with, wait a minute, are you talking about antibiotics? Well, there are a couple of schools of thought. So I would like you to bring us up to date on this so that people have an understanding about what their choices are, right? Because
I'm going to
I think for so long, people don't have choices.
Yeah, I just wanted to say one thing about it, that Dr. Nev explained it to me was that we have a protective barrier around our brain, and this protective barrier won't allow most oral antibiotics to penetrate it. Because, if you have neurological Lyme, it needs to go through your bloodstream. The antibiotics need to be in a PICC line, which is basically an inserted line into your arm that goes right into your bloodstream, right into your brain. And I can tell you that the first day that I had this PICC line in, my brain started feeling better. And I know that when I do the PET scan again in 3 months' time, it'll be a year that I've had it in. My brain's going to look different, because I can tell you my brain feels different. I'm functioning like I've never functioned ever in my life. And I feel like I've never had Lyme disease. So I can tell you that I don't know if there's a lot of treatments like that out there that a lot of people can say that about having all these terrible symptoms.
Yeah, and you can take all the doxy in the world, and if you have neurological Lyme, it's not going to do anything for you. Once it's in your brain, receiving IV medication through a PICC line is really the only way. Now, the problem with that is that the literature and the research, the outdated CDC-based research that many hospitals still go by, say that is not true, or that long-term antibiotics are not effective, but they don't offer any other solution. So for people like Enid and I, this is really the only way, and we are feeling better. So we are living proof that this is effective treatment and it's necessary.
And we're not alone. I know many people this year that have gotten PICC lines through the Dean Lyme Center, and now there's a whole clan of people here in Martha's Vineyard that are feeling better. So this is like not just Elizabeth and I. This is a lot of people.
Yeah.
So,
and
go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's why we've got to bring the conversation to the forefront, because half the time, right, folks can't even get a correct diagnosis. So let's just start there for folks listening. And then when you do, then what are you faced with? Well, you're faced with the arsenal of, how do I convince people, right? Where do I go from there? Oh, and do I dare even bring up the insurance question right now?
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
Yep.
Well, depending what state you live on, unfortunately, the state of Massachusetts has just fought this long 4-year battle, and thanks to Dr. Sheila Statlender, my very good friend, a psychologist from Newton, who has worked tirelessly for the last 4 years to make these laws change here at the State House. I mean, Governor Baker vetoed it how many times, Elizabeth?
I believe 3 or possibly 4. It went back and forth for quite a while.
We were on eggshells for about 2 months practically, but, we all showed up at the State House last November. Sheila had 300 chronic Lyme patients, which is what we like to call it, CLD, chronic Lyme disease. We don't like to call it the other what is it called? I don't remember.
PTLSD something, PTLDS, post-treatment Lyme disease syndrome is what some people are calling it, but we don't like that.
Well,
I
don't know why we call it that. It makes it sound like you don't have Lyme anymore.
Exactly.
That's right.
I don't even
and I think it was meant
that.
to do that, by the way.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
So we like to call it CLD, chronic Lyme disease, and that's the name of it. And people are calling it that now, which is I'm very happy about. But what happened in the State House last November was 300 chronic Lyme patients showed up all day from 8 a.m. in the morning till 6 p.m. at night. Each of them had 5 minutes to tell their Lyme stories in front of the committee, and it was there was not a dry eye in the place for all day. It was horrifying and upsetting to hear all these poor people and what they've gone through and have had no help at all. And if they basically were lucky to get a Lyme litter doctor. They've gone through all their funds, all their savings, all their money is gone. And it's just a terrible, terrible story. But the good news is that these Lyme bills went through. And what were the numbers?
The Senate overrode Governor Baker's last veto by a vote of 37-1. And that was right after the House voted to also override his veto, 153-3. And the bill goes into effect immediately so that all patients seeking long-term treatment in Massachusetts now have coverage by their insurance.
And can I just tell you that I get my diffusion balls of ceftriaxone from InfuServe in Florida, which a lot of chronic Lyme patients go through. This is a wonderful organization. And they send you little infusion balls in the mail. And I've been paying out of pocket for the last 8 months. And they just informed me today that Blue Cross is going to cover it.
Awesome. Well, what I love about this conversation is that it's the beginning of the beginning. And you guys have done a great job in moving this forward. What we're talking about is a society where this is so not being viewed as a disease that every effort to get this covered by state is really now we're ready for the next level. Because if Washington, D.C. cannot change this around, then Medicare is not going to change. And if Medicare doesn't change, then everybody over the age of 60, right? Everybody, they're exempt. So this is really a scenario where Massachusetts is leading the game for this. And yet at the same time, we're looking at scenarios where how do we get everybody on the same page? I think what I want to talk about too when we come back is how do we even get the conversation about giving people a test that works? And I know, Dr. Enid, I know, Elizabeth, there's an argument on the table that say the testing doesn't work. Okay, but let's say this. There is a test that works better than the other test. How about we get that test going for people? Let's take a short break. We'll be right back.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Let's talk about that thing. And then let's talk about the psychological effects of this. Why is it that even with the test, why are people opting not even to get the test? Yeah. Why don't people want to know? Yeah, we'll tell you about that. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Are you ready for a game changer? Sarah Westall is bringing you Business Game Changers Radio. Sarah brings you leading experts, visionaries, and newsmakers who provide the best commentary on big issues and cutting-edge innovations. Sarah's 20 years as a business executive will help you think like an entrepreneur with expertise, energy, and attitude. Tune into Business Game Changers Mondays at noon Pacific, 3 Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Get into it for 2016. Do you want more prosperity, clarity, energy, and balance in your life? Join Lynn Brown now for one of her amazing workshops, each focusing on a key part of living your best life. For more information and to register for one of these amazing workshops, visit lynnbrownevent.com. That's lynnbrownevent.com. And get into it this 2016 with Lynn Brown.
Transformation Talk Radio is dedicated to the education and awareness of Lyme disease.
Welcome to Lyme Talk Radio. I'm Dr. Pat Baccili, the host of the Dr. Pat Show, and I am so thrilled that we've created this venue for all of you out there.
Dr. Pat Baccili will be bringing the most innovative, groundbreaking information, research, treatment innovations, and stories from those it affects every day.
What we have heard is that you want to ensure for us that we keep positive, holistic, uplifting, transformative talk radio on the air. We're excited to bring you the contemporary conversations about Lyme disease.
We promise not to let the light fade on Lyme.
So fasten your seatbelts. We've got lots more to share with you in the weeks to come.
Tune into Lyme Talk Radio with Dr. Pat and help keep our mission strong on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Tune in to Lucid Planet Radio with Dr. Kelly Neff. This hit show will illuminate your senses and empower you beyond your daily stressors and hardships. Renowned psychologist and author Dr. Kelly will captivate you with far-reaching topics and amazing guests as you wake to the greatest version of yourself. Learn to tap into your intuitions, think critically about our world, heal emotional and psychological wounds, and follow your passions to live your dreams. The Lucid Planet. Welcome home. Visit lucidplanetradio.com for more information.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. It's so great to have Dr. Enid Haller joining me here today and Elizabeth Mellon. And again, before we get back into this, because I know we're going to get going here, please give out your websites and certainly give out your Facebook page. And, let's have people be able to find out more about what you all are doing and how they can get involved.
Yes. Well, my website is just, you Google Lyme Center of Martha's Vineyard, everything will come up. And the number is 508-693-1846. And I'll answer any questions for anyone. I have a free service. I don't charge anything. People can call about any questions they have about chronic Lyme. And I, try to hook people up with a chronic Lyme doctor or Lyme literate doctor in their area.
And mine is called Lyme Life MV. It's a Facebook group page, so you can search for it on Facebook. And once you click to join, you can private message me if you'd like to ask questions or post any questions on there. And myself and other members will try to answer them for you.
Wow. And I want to thank you both, first of all, for all that you do. I also want to thank you for not giving up the fight. The conversations are out there now. There are conversations about how does this affect the brain? And certainly, we know of the work that has been done around this. I think one of you, I think it was you, Elizabeth, that kind of said, or maybe it was you, Dr. Enid, that said that, if you have the symptoms that show up like arthritis or show up in some very physical way, as it does for most people, right? Shows up really muscular skeleton. Then it gives you indications, even if you haven't had the bullseye, that there's something like that going on. But see, if you don't have those things, but all of a sudden you get a nodule, it's still not enough to get your attention. But then all of a sudden something starts happening. Maybe you're not remembering things the way you used to. Maybe there are moments where you're blacking out and you're just not used to it. Maybe you're getting confused. See, these are things, that are much harder to get anybody's attention to. And Dr. Enid, you were talking during the break, if you're living in the Northeast, pretty much you've heard so much about this that the last thing you want to do is get a test. The last thing you want to do is find out about it. Can you both talk about what we're doing, to make the test more accessible to people? And what would you say to people that are just thinking, I don't want to get the test? And why is that a dynamic now? I know you both have experienced this.
Yeah, I'll address it first and then Elizabeth will jump in. But I just need to probably speak about that. We all know the testing's poor, and nobody sees a bullseye rash anymore. In fact, very rarely do you see a bite. So, the testing is not trustworthy, but you can't give up. If you have a lot of weird symptoms and your blood work's coming back normal and the doctor keeps saying you're fine and you know that you have something wrong and they send you to the psychiatrist instead of and you've gone through many different medical doctors and they don't know what's wrong with you, I would think, I better get a symptom checklist for Lyme disease, and I better get a good one. And Dr. Horowitz has one, Richard Horowitz, and Why Can't I Get Better? That's one of our best Lyme books that you can buy. He's got a symptom checklist there. Dr. Nev has a symptom checklist that I am going to be putting up on my website that you'll be able to use. She's devised her, she's from the Dean Lyme Center, DEAN, Lyme Center in Charlestown, Mass., at Spaulding Hospital. This is the first legitimate hospital that is treating chronic Lyme disease. And they are taking patients from all over the country and outside the country. They take any insurance all over the country. I don't know how they're doing that, but they are. You don't have to pay out of pocket. She's got a great symptom checklist that she's devised with John Alcott from Johns Hopkins University, who also just opened up a great Lyme Center at Johns Hopkins. And also Dr. Brian Fallon at Columbia University has devised this checklist with Dr. Nev, and Dr. Cheryl Koopman from Stanford University. So we've got Stanford, Johns Hopkins, Harvard, and Columbia University all working together as a team now. And they're gonna figure this out, I think. But so you just need to understand that you could have a misdiagnosis of many things. I mean, you could have fibromyalgia. You could have MS. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. And even Dr. Nev, when she came to the island, reiterated at the hospital that Barbara Johnson herself, who is from the CDC, she's an expert in their Lyme program, she even stated that the current two-tiered method, the ELISA test and the Western blot tests, those are the go-to tests that most hospitals use. They're only 31% accurate with people that actually have the rash, which most people that I know never even had a rash, and 63% accurate with those people like myself and Enid who have neuroborreliosis or Lyme carditis, which basically means that 100 patients with Lyme, 69 of them will be misdiagnosed or untreated. And I know many, many people that have Lyme symptoms and they get tested and it comes back negative. So they just say, oh, I don't have Lyme. It must be something else. And it's progressive. As these spirochetes dig further into your tissues, especially if it's gone to your brain, it's a progressive illness. So it's not something that we should be relying on a very faulty and clearly inaccurate test that's been documented as so. Those tests need to go. We need to use more clinical diagnosis. Doctors need to be more educated at how to look for it, see the signs and the symptoms. And there's vast symptoms. I mean, there's different people within our own support group that are different. Some people have more gastrointestinal problems. Some people have more neurological. Some people have more musculoskeletal problems. And then there's people with a combination thereof. So I understand that it's certainly a complex disease, but why there's this denial or this apprehension to really go to a Lyme diagnosis, I really don't understand that.
I think it's one of the problems is that they're afraid that the patients themselves don't know where to turn.
Exactly.
And I think that, that's one of the major things is to, call up the 800 at IGENX, which is IGENEX. This is a better test for Lyme from Palo Alto, California. They will send you a kit, but then you have to find a Lyme literate doctor or somebody in your area that knows how to read these tests and who will sign off on these tests. Usually there's a Lyme support group somewhere, and if you reach out and try to find your Lyme support group in your town or in your state, you can call them and get some information as to, are there any Lyme literate doctors in your town or in your state that you can go to that might take insurance, because some of them do and some are operating. Those are ILADS doctors, ILADS, International Lyme Disease and Associated Disorders. Associated diseases, yep. Yeah. And, ILADS are the only doctors you want to, trust, because our poor regular medical doctors are not educated in chronic Lyme. They will miss the diagnosis. They won't see it. They won't know how to find it, and they'll give you the wrong diagnosis. Mm-hmm. And then you end up like Chris Christopherson, who, has turned in, who basically had 7 years, of dementia and Alzheimer's diagnosis, and he had Lyme. And he has since has gotten a PICC line, and he's back to normal again in like 6 months. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, but that's really the point that we want to make here today, that if it's like you said, and people are thinking to themselves, oh, I don't want to know, or better yet, there is a test that if you're living in the Northeast, for sure, that you can get the standard CDC test. Many of us are quite familiar with that test. And the only thing that, at least unless this has changed, ladies, correct me if I'm wrong, is that if you go in and you get this 5-panel test and you have 4 of the 5 panels, but you don't have all 5, they walk out and they say to you, you don't have Lyme disease.
That's exactly what they say to you.
That's what they say. I know that's
right.
What they
and
say.
That 2-tier testing that Eliza and Western Blot, Dr. Nev came in and educated these, or tried to educate the doctors here at Martha's Vineyard Hospital, say, please don't use that test. Right. If you, please use the IGeneX if you're going to use a test, but really use a symptom checklist. And please don't use those 2-pill doxy anymore, because that is crazy. And they're handing out, these 2 little pills of doxy here on the island. And I don't know how much they're doing that across the country, but that doesn't even make a dent in anything. And these poor people take these 2 pills, and then they go back to California where they live, and they've got, full-blown Lyme symptoms when they get back there, and they don't know what they've got. So there's a few problems here, and finally, I think they are starting to listen a little bit. They just started to use the IGeneX at the Martha's Vineyard Hospital last week.
Thank God.
That's huge. For them to start using that IGeneX test, I just can't believe that happened. And then they're trying not to use the 2-pill doxy. So the word has gotten out to some doctors, but there are other doctors that are stubborn and don't want to change. But, at least we see a little bit of change. And Elizabeth, did you have something else that Dr. Nev addressed?
Well, I wanted to say to Dr. Pat, too, about why people don't want to get tested. I mean, talking about the whole Lyme denial situation. Yeah. I have experienced that with friends of mine or with people that I know in terms of being afraid to get that sort of a diagnosis. They've watched what I've gone through. Yeah. I'm fortunate enough that, I had to quit teaching for 2 years, pretty much. I'm a school teacher here, and thank God my father will pick me up on the other side when I take the boat over, drive me to Rhode Island for treatment, pay for the doctor's appointment. Most people on the island, they don't have that. It's a huge misconception that this is an island of the rich. That is not the case at all. It's mostly the year-rounders, just working class, regular people. And there is no ILADS or, Lyme literate physician here. So at least on the island, and even off island, I had to wait 6 months just to get into certain places off island. So, the cost is one big part of it. And then being scared of what's going to, what kind of treatment is going to be involved and what's that going to cost. And, having a PICC line in and, it's not, it can be frightening to people. And, there's such an array of different symptoms that it's easy for people to convince themselves that they don't have Lyme, that it is fibromyalgia or Alzheimer's or this or that. So that's a very complex piece of this puzzle that we're facing here.
And what's shocking, and I know we have to break, is that, the reason why they fall back on this misdiagnosis is because insurance will pay for those.
Exactly.
And they won't pay for chronic Lyme.
Yeah.
That's
So
correct. That's correct.
It's a terrible problem. I mean, it's
That's
just
correct.
like a catch-22.
Right. And it's because people are afraid, or because the insurance, like you said, will not pay. And you hear from so many people that they're losing everything for the treatments.
That's
and
right.
and I think this is important to say. I mean, it's kind of like, well, wait a minute, let me just go up to Massachusetts. I don't know if it's that easy. I don't know if it's that easy to just pack it up and go up to Massachusetts for a treatment. I don't know what the Massachusetts laws are, but certainly you're not even including an entire arsenal of people on Medicare unless the law that was passed is going to include those too.
Well, believe it or not, and this is just in Massachusetts, Medicaid and Medicare is actually good for Lyme disease, and it does seem to cover it very well and covers PICC lines for over a year. So for some reason in Massachusetts, that's working very well, and it might be because of the sheer numbers that we've had here of Lyme patients. But actually, if you have Medicare, it's a good thing. It covers your hygienics and it covers your PICC line.
Wow.
So,
and let's talk about that because, here you are, you're living in a state, one of the states. I'm going to focus on the Northeast because I can't even go, I don't even want to touch what's going on in the Pacific Northwest here. Outside of the Northeast and California, many of the doctors don't even know what the other tests are. If you were to go to the state of New Jersey, let's say, and walk into Jersey, and any doctor pretty much there, and ask them for the Lyme test, they're going to pull the test off the shelf. They're going to give you the one we're talking about. And when you say to them, IGeneX, how do I know this? I just tried this. Nobody even understands what the IGeneX test is. That's why our crowdfunding effort is to educate everybody.
Absolutely.
And to get their attention. So I got to ask you this question, what can we do? How do we come together to say, wait a minute, big move. Thank you for doing that. Doesn't matter if you have Medicaid. If you walk into the state of Jersey, unless you hit the right doctor, they don't even know what an IGeneX test is. And, dare I mention, they don't know how to read them.
Yeah, no, that's a huge problem. Even here where we are, I've been stunned at how many doctors, didn't know where to send me. Even once I've had a confirmed persistent Lyme disease diagnosis and neuroborreliosis diagnosis, certain doctors, didn't know where to send me to get treatment. There's so much inconsistencies with education for doctors. And we're really trying to get more continuing education for doctors everywhere so that they can be updated on what is going on. Enid, you can have something to say about that.
Yeah, I was going to say, is that, we had a Lyme hackathon, over the last Dean Lyme Center and at MIT and the Bay Area Lyme Disease Foundation. They funded this whole thing, and we hacked Lyme, at MIT in June. We had 100 top Lyme people there, in the chronic Lyme field. And everybody was hacking for Lyme. Hacking means you're going to try some new ideas and how in the world we're going to change this horrible thing that's happened. And one of the teams I was on, one of them I was trying to get, a Lyme litter doctor to come to Martha's Vineyard because I've been trying to get that for 8 years. But I'm not going to give up. I'm still working on that one. But the CME credits, they're called, basically doctors can get these CME credentials in the sense that myself and two other doctors were working on creating a online educational series to so regular doctors can log into this and learn about chronic Lyme, how to treat it, and, be able to get CME credits as a result. And ironically, another girl called me a couple of days ago. She came up from New York City to see me. She's working on the same thing, and she's connected, to the CME organization, and we're going to work together. She works through the Museum of Natural History in New York, and we're going to try to make this happen, so we're going to reach out, basically create a program so that regular doctors can log in to this program and learn about chronic Lyme and learn how to treat chronic Lyme, which is even more important. So, yes, I'm working on that educational series, and I have one idea that I'm going to throw out for people out there. You know, the Dean Lyme Center takes all insurances from all over the United States, and their number is 617-952-6220. And I think it would be a great idea if anybody listening who thinks they have chronic Lyme disease calls that number and tries to get onto the waiting list. It's going to be about 3 months for them to get in there. But it is well worth it because they are counting people in the master computer at Partners. Partners is the organization that owns every hospital in the Northeast, practically. They own 36 Spaulding hospitals. They own Mass General. They own Brigham and Women's in Boston. They own Martha's Vineyard Hospital, Nantucket Hospital, Cape Cod Hospital. And this is the organization, that master computer, all these people are being logged in there as chronic Lyme patients. That's the first time in history that that's happening. So, and they are going to move into more treatment. They're not doing antibiotic treatment yet, but they have other types of treatment there. But most importantly, they reach out to your local doctor where you're from, and they're educating your local doctor. Your primary care, the doctor that's in the state that you're from, they will get a call from Dr. Nev or one of the other two doctors to educate them about chronic Lyme and try and guide them as to how to treat these people.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Well, I know we only have a few minutes left, but I want to just tell you, you know, for somebody like me, what I want to mention, and maybe we need to do another show on this.
Yeah.
Across the globe, there have been people, and you know, if you go back for the past 10 years, let's take a snapshot for the past, well, let's say the past 12 years.
Right.
We have had to pick and choose to try to figure out what the heck is going on. And, you know, we're talking about an epidemic that's not just in the Northeast, it's all over the world. But if you live in places like the Pacific Northwest, here's the good news about living here. This is the home of Baccili University. This is the home of some of the top naturopaths in the world. And here's what the thing that is so frustrating for people. This group of people that maybe will get a little speaking platform once in a while at ILADS or something, these are the folks that have been at the door of saving lives now. And no one will stand up and say, we've got to pay for their services. I think this is the biggest gap in wellness and do no harm that I've seen in a really long time.
I agree with you. And I think it's a travesty. You know, the naturopath should be recognized at every state. And, you know, Dr. Ronnie has been helping us in the Vineyard forever. And, you know, if it wasn't for Dr. Ronnie, a lot of people would not be getting any proper treatment at all. We were lucky to have her here, and she is always doing a great job. But there is a problem, and, you know, we need to bring attention to it. But, like, the more that we speak about this, obviously we're getting, our voices are being heard a little bit more now than I think ever before.
I agree.
And I would love to have another show because we want to talk about Dr. Kim Lewis at Northeastern University because he says he might have a cure for Lyme. And we just brought him here a couple of weeks ago, and he was the most amazing guy. So we need to have another show, I think.
Well, I think we should have another show. Maybe we can get him on it, you know, because
we should try.
Yeah, I said something earlier to you both. It is like this is the world where people are going to whatever length they could go to save their lives. That's the story that's not being told.
Right,
it's a story that really transcends medical or insurance. It's a story where people will search the world to try to find a solution.
And
I think that's what we've got to bring to the forefront. What if we were to get people together, like Dr. Darvish out of Seattle? You know, what if we to get people like her together to say, my gosh, you are battling this, even in the state of Washington, which doesn't even comprehend Lyme disease, and you're saving lives. When you can muscle test, can you feel me on this now?
Sure.
When you can put a bacterial template on somebody's chest that has some form of the co-infection in it and muscle test that, and you've done it 1,000 times correctly, maybe 5,000 times correctly, and the blood work supports it, we are missing some of the most incredible ideas about wellness on the planet.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's a harder nut to crack, but I got to tell you, I mean, that it has to happen, and I think it will in our lifetime. I think it will. But the major thing that's hopeful, Dr. Pat, and then I'll shut up, is that the Ivy League schools are starting to pay attention here, and that's when things start to turn around.
Yeah, what you guys did in Massachusetts, all of us were taking bets on that, and the major pollsters. No, I'm serious. The major pollsters that were looking at that said never happened in the land of Harvard. Never happened. But what you guys did was massively amazing. You have done something unprecedented.
It was Dr. Nev, I got to tell you. Her influence on Massachusetts and the hospitals here, she's broken through. And credit really goes to her.
It takes a village, right?
We all were right behind her.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys. Please, again, thank you so much.
Thank you,
give
Dr.
out
Pat.
the Facebook page if you would, and I can't wait to our next chat.
Oh, me too. So the Facebook group is Lyme Life MV.
Awesome. And we'll make sure we send that out as well. I want to thank everybody for tuning us and turning us on. And certainly, for sure, you want to get plugged in. Let's get educated. Let's get informed. And as Enid and Elizabeth did, and folks up in Massachusetts, we can turn this around. All right, everybody. We'll talk to you next time.
Thanks, Dr. Pat.
Thank you.
You bet. You ladies rock.
You do too.
Thanks for listening to Lyme Talk Radio with Dr. Pat Baccili, Epic Healing for an Epic Life. This inspiring show highlights leading-edge solutions, groundbreaking research, headline topics, and tools for holistic healing and wellness. This hit show is dedicated to raising awareness, promoting advocacy and prevention, and supporting initiatives for optimal health. Dr. Pat is passionate and focused on life-saving results reaching far beyond Lyme disease, providing a forum for powerful stories, heart-opening experiences, and hope-activated solutions. Dr. Pat will shine a light on the many shades of Lyme disease, fueled by a body-mind-spirit remedy. For more information, visit LymeTalkRadio.com and tune in next time.